I'm very, very nervous for today's video, but hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I am going to be doing a spooky Halloween themed 24-hour reading challenge. Last time I did this, it was Valentine's Day, and I tried to do like 12 hours one day and then 12 hours the next. That didn't quite work out. I think it took me 3 days, but today I'm gonna be trying to do 24 hours straight. I don't know, the timing just kind of works out pretty well because I slept in way too much today. So I was like I'm pretty well rested. It's the weekend, so no responsibilities tomorrow. So I don't know, that's what we're gonna do. It is almost 9:45 at nighttime. Let's talk game plan and TBR. So game plan, I figured it would be beneficial to me if I started it at night and then 24 hours later, like as soon as that 24 hours is up, I can go to bed at a reasonable time and it's not messing too badly with the sleep schedule. I don't know if going through the night would be the hardest part for me. I mean, I've done all-nighters before, so it's not like too out of my comfort zone. Getting through the night first might be easier because then in the daytime I can like go out somewhere and read and kind of like wake myself up a little bit, but I don't know. That's the game plan though. In terms of what I want to read, I have a nice little stack of books. Most of these are on my October TBR and my fall TBR. It just worked out that way. But I have All the Dark Places, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, If We Were Villains, The Naturals, and Finley Donovan Is Killing It. And I figured those are all very, if they're not like specifically Halloween coded, then they're a little bit spooky. Well, none of these are really specifically Halloween coded now that I think about it. They're all just a little spooky. There are some lighthearted mysteries in here, but for the most part, I have mystery, thriller, and then I also have tons of options on Kindle Unlimited. I think what I'm gonna do is start with All the Dark Places by Terry Parlato, just because it's nighttime. This gives nighttime, like, I don't know. It's a thriller. I don't have any horror books, by the way, so I might be able to find some on Kindle Unlimited. I know I could if I wanted to read horror. I just don't know if I'm ready to read horror, but I have this thriller that I'm probably gonna start with. This was also on my October TBR, so figured I should get it done pretty soon. I think it'll be a quick read. Thrillers should, for me, usually tend to be a little bit of a quicker read. So yeah, I figure this is gonna really start off with those spooky vibes, and then options are pretty unlimited. I probably am either gonna, after that, go to one of these two books because they're a little bit more of a lighthearted, cozy mystery, and then go back to something a little bit more spooky. But I also, on Kindle Unlimited, I'm over halfway through The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and that's technically a fantasy, but it's a fantasy about vampires, so I feel like it's a little Halloween coded. Yeah, I guess we're starting this. I'm so excited. I've always dreamed of doing this. Like, it sounds so weird, but like ever since I was younger, watching booktubers do 24-hour reading challenges, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so fun. I want to do that. And then I tried to do it once and that didn't quite work out. But in all fairness, it was like, I went into it not doing the 24 hours straight, so I don't know. So this is the first time I'm doing 24 hours straight, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. So that being said, let's get out the timer. I wanted to start at 9:45, but it's 9:48. I guess I talk way more than I thought I would. Get out our timer. I was just gonna obviously 9:45 tonight to 9:45 tomorrow, but just in case I need to take a break, I'm gonna do the timer so I can pause it and then actually do the full 24 hours, but hopefully I don't need to do that, but just in case. Okay, it's 9:50. Okay, ready? There's my timer. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know, the reflection's kind of going crazy, but all right, here we are. I guess we're gonna get started on this. All right, I am 1 hour in. Is that gonna focus? I don't think so. Probably not. Let's talk about this book, All the Dark Places. Basically, it starts with the murder of a family psychologist. It's told from his wife's point of view. Well, it's actually two point of views, but let me start on that side. So the night of his birthday, or the morning after his birthday party, she goes out to his home office, which is kind of like in a shed, like a garage, and finds him dead. So that's basically like it, I guess. And then the second point of view is the detective who's working on the case, and her name is Rita. So right now, basically, it's just Molly freaking out about her husband being dead and trying to figure out why it happened or who could have done it. And then Rita's the detective on the case trying to solve stuff. I don't know. I'm only like not even 50 pages in yet, so there's not much, but I have some preliminary theories that I can't really say because I don't want to spoil it, because that's like the whole point of the book. But I will say I'm very much enjoying the detective's point of view a lot more than the wife, and I think that just happens to me a lot with like thrillers, because I think if the main character isn't like a detective, which I haven't read very many where they are, but if they're not, they're very, like, they make the worst decisions. Luckily right now, actually, Molly isn't making bad decisions. Like, she's being very cooperative with the police and like giving them everything they ask for, not leaving anything out, which I appreciate, because I like, that's probably my most, like, the most annoying thing that happens in thriller books for me is when they like, when the main character's like, well, it would make me seem suspicious if I did this, so I'm not going to tell them about that. You're just making yourself more suspicious. I literally talk about this all the time, anytime I read a thriller. But I do appreciate the more detective point of view. I like being able to see the clues that she's finding, or like where the police is going with the investigation, because it helps me formulate theories in my head. That's my 1 hour update. Alright, I paused my timer for a little over 20-ish minutes to eat dinner, because like I can't read and eat at the same time, not a physical book anyways. I'm done with dinner, and yes, I had dinner at like midnight. I know, okay, I eat late. Anywho, I'm 126 pages into this book so far, and I think what I said earlier about having the cop's point of view, like that one being my favorite, still stands. And I honestly think I was like right. Like, the fact that I get to see what the cops are figuring out is so helpful. Or not helpful, but like making me more engaged in the mystery of it all. Like, the cops found out based off of like the coroner's report that because someone had like cut his throat open, based off the angle, it was a tall person. And it's just like little things like that that I appreciate that the reader gets to know, because then we can make our own inferences on who it was. So I really like that. And I think that's probably what's keeping me the most engaged in the book. Beyond that, the wife's point of view isn't bad by any means, but it's just like her kind of coping. And then she also has this like very mysterious childhood trauma that we're slowly learning more about. So that point of view is kind of getting a little bit more interesting. But the thing is, this is marketed as a thriller. And so far, it's very just mystery. Like, I'm not getting any of those like thrilling feelings. I don't think it's necessarily, I feel like the author has tried to, because there's a few moments that are like a little bit creepy, or like supposed to be creepy. Like, someone breaks into the office where they found the body a couple nights later. And so I feel like that was supposed to be a little bit creepy because it was in the middle of the night. And then the wife just got like a mysterious phone call. And so I feel like stuff like that is supposed to make that thrilling atmosphere, but I'm not getting that right now. It's definitely more of a mystery, which I'm not mad about. Like, I'm still enjoying the mystery of it. I picked this first because I wanted to get like the scary stuff over with first. I don't know. Regardless, I'm gonna keep reading, obviously. I just finished All the Dark Places. It's 3:51, so it's technically, 6 hours since I started? I don't know. I have 18 hours and 47 minutes left, so I still have quite a long time left. But I'm not quite a fourth of the way through yet, so that's not bad for one book. But yeah, I did finish this. I was wrong about my initial prediction, which I'm kind of glad about. However, I made another prediction later in the book, and I was right about that one. However, I will say, here's a few things. A, there's so many characters in this book that it was really, by the time we got to the reveal at the end of the book, I was like, who was that person again? And I had to go back and remind myself, which is honestly probably just on me, but there were like, what, 10 different people involved? A lot. In terms of the thriller atmosphere of it, I wouldn't say it ever really got very thrilling for me. Like, it definitely still stayed in that mystery category, and I don't know if that's because like everything wasn't as up in the air as it normally is in a thriller because we had that police officer's point of view. I'm not sure. Also, we got to like the end of the book. The reveal was like 20 pages from the end. No, it was more than that, honestly. It was a lot more than that. And then everything got resolved pretty much. And then we got like an extra 13, 15 pages of epilogue, which is kind of not usual for thriller books, at least not for me, of the thriller books I've read, but yeah. So that was that. What would I rate it? I'm not sure, because it wasn't bad and it still kept me engaged, and I really did like the police officer's point of view, but again, it wasn't thrilling, and the reveal wasn't like, oh my god, it was like, oh, so that's who it was. You know what I mean? So, and there wasn't like really many other twists after that. And like the one twist I think was supposed to grab our attention, I figured out already. So yeah, it's not gonna be super highly rated, but I do need to sit and think on the rating for a while. I'm thinking around like maybe just like a 3-star, which means it's time to pick our next book, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time trying to decide what book to pick because in my head I'm like, logically it would be smart to do If We Were Villains Yet because I'm still somewhat like awake and my brain's working somewhat well. And there's a lot of like Shakespeare references in this, and I'd rather have my brain actually working through the details. I don't know if I want something super moody because I just read something that was like moody. So then I'm like, well, maybe I should start Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson because that would be a little bit more lighthearted. So it's in between these two right now. I don't know which one to pick because I feel like this will go a lot faster than this will. I'm gonna ask someone else to pick because I can't decide. So once I make a decision though, you will see because I will record it. But that's my update on All the Dark Places. I don't know if I'm gonna take a little break right now or not. Maybe just like a second to write in my reading journal like I normally do, and I'll pause the timer, but not for very long. So. Back with an update. First of all, I have 16 and a half hours left. I did start Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, and I am really enjoying it so far. In terms of a summary for what this book is about, I feel like I can't tell you much because the back doesn't say very much. I guess I could check what Goodreads says, but I think you should just go into this book not knowing very much, just relying solely on what the title says, which is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. But basically you have this narrator he's constantly breaking the fourth wall because he's telling you basically his story. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very fun. Especially the parts where he breaks the fourth wall, and like I feel like for some people that can get really annoying, but for me I'm like, it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, definitely liking it so far. I think the humor is fun. I think the mystery is pretty fun too. Like, I don't want to say that because it does involve murders, but it's very engaging, which is I think something that I needed because I am starting to feel tired. It's 6:30 in the morning, so I am getting a little sleepy, but the book itself is actually helping me stay awake, I think. That being said, I'm getting a little tired, so I'm probably going to make myself some tea and a snack in hopes that that wakes me up a little bit and just keep trucking through, I guess. I don't really have much else to say. It's so tough because like I want to tell you more about the book, but I feel like it does such a disservice going into this book knowing what it's about. It's so fun not knowing what this book is about, especially like with all the little hints and reveals you get. I don't know, it's just the way that the author has written the narrator in such like a, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's like, it's almost like I'm in dialogue with the narrator. Like I'm having a conversation with him. It's very cool. So very, very excited about this one. like over 100 pages left, I think. But the way the plot twists are twisting, and I'm not even like done with the book yet, I thought it would be more of a cozy mystery. I don't know if it's just that I'm like so tired that I've gotten to the point where like every little noise is kind of like making me jump, or if it's just like the actual story itself is kind of giving that like spooky vibe. I don't know, but I'm really, really liking it. Just feel like I should have given an update telling you guys how much I like this, because I feel like it has 5-star potential. Ah. How crazy would that be? Oh my goodness, I've been putting this book off for so long, and the fact that it could be a 5-star is kind of wild. But I really think the narration style is like what makes this book so fun and unique. And beyond that, I mean, I think it's also kind of like a family, like you have the mystery, but you also have this family drama that you're just like quite entertained by. It's like watching a reality TV show. But that being said, I have pretty much like rounding up 14 hours left, which is crazy because it's 9:35, so we're like almost at the 12-hour mark from when I started this, but I have almost 2 hours left. We'll say like 1.5. Where did that time go? Did I pause the clock for that? Like, I don't remember pausing the clock for that long. That's crazy. So now it's not set to finish till 11:27 p.m. So I finished Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I was not expecting any of what happened at the end of this book. Like, I was actually genuinely shocked. Like, the whole time I did not know who the reveal was going to be at the end. Flabbergasted, man. That was crazy. That was really, really, really good. Like, the fact that the narration is directly addressing the reader and like, oh, this could be a clue. You might have noticed this. And I was still shocked by the end of it. Absolutely loved. I think this might be a 5 stars. I don't know if it's like the tiredness and exhaustion is what is pushing it to a 5 stars, but in my heart, this is a 5 stars. Honestly, I think I would read this again. I think reading it a second time, oh my gosh, I can only imagine all like little bits of foreshadowing and clues you would find. Oh my gosh, it was so good, guys. I can't stop talking about it. I won't stop. I can't stop yawning. Anyways, I am over halfway through, but I still have 11 hours left. Oh man, 11 hours and 17 minutes to be exact. I don't think If We Were Villains is the move right now. I think I'm too brain dead for that, and I would like to be a little bit more cognizant. So that leaves Finlay Donovan is Killing It in the Naturals. And I already read like a kind of like funny mystery with Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. So I'm thinking not Finlay Donovan. Maybe I'll go with the Naturals. The issue is it's kind of a thicker book. Oh, it's only 308 pages. It seems like a lot more. And the text is pretty big, so maybe I'll go with this one next. Also, it's young adult, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but that should mean it moves a little bit faster. And hopefully it can keep me awake. I was doing so good for a while there, but right after I finished Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, it's like my energy just went. Like I said, I think that book was keeping me awake. And I'm scared that having to go through the whole, what is it called? Exposition of a new book, not only a new book, but a new series, might slow me down way too much, but we'll see. I don't know if I should like take a little break or not, because I'm so tired, but like, I just need to push through. I think I could just push through and finish this. Alright, so I took a nap. I couldn't do it. I had to take a little nap for like an hour and a half. It's like 2 o'clock now. I don't know when I stopped. Like when I last updated, I sat here for a few minutes. I was debating and then I took a nap. So it's probably been around 2 hours, but I will get back to reading. How am I more tired after sleeping? It's fine. The timer isn't set to end till like 1:30 tonight, which is awesome. It just feels so far away, but I can do it. I swear I will, and I can. So I'm actually gonna start The Naturals now. It's like 2 hours later, and I'm 115 pages in. I just got to chapter 15. I love when the page numbers line up like that. This book is about Cassie, who was kind of raised by her mom to identify like personality traits, personality behavior, stuff like that of like strangers. And so her mom was kind of like a psychic, or said she was a psychic, and then would predict things about people, and that's how she would make her money. And Cassie kind of just learned how to do that from watching her mom and her mom teaching her. And one day, when Cassie's like 17, the FBI reaches out to her and asks her if she wants to be part of this program for naturals, who are teenagers who are naturally good at a specific thing. So for Cassie, she's naturally good at profiling people, and she agrees. She agrees to go into the program, and that's kind of what this book is about so far. Right now, it's her like learning. She's part of this program. It's kind of like a school. She's learning how to profile every day and what that means in terms of profiling serial killers. Or I was curious if it was going to get a little bit more like hands-on in the field, but it does say like the very last line on the back of the book says that it does. So that might give me a little bit of anxiety, but so far I'm really liking it. The first like couple chapters I was still like half asleep, so I kept having to reread the pages. But once I woke up a little, I was actually getting through it quite quickly. It's very fast paced, and I think it's also like it's very reminiscent for me to Criminal Minds. I don't know, it just feels like Criminal Minds, like I'm reading an episode of it, which is kind of cool. I mean, I grew up watching that show, even though I probably shouldn't have been, but Cassie's character is really interesting. I think all the characters, honestly, who are part of this program, there's only 5 teenagers who are part of the program, are really like interesting so far, even though we haven't gotten to know much about them. I do feel a love triangle coming on between the only 2 guys who are part of this program and Cassie. Curious how that's gonna... It's like way too early for me to even pick a side because we don't really know too much about either of them yet. That's my update, I suppose. I still have 9 hours and 10 minutes left, but that's okay. I finished The Naturals. I really enjoyed this book. I think it was pretty fast paced, and so I've read the Inheritance Games, the first and second book in that little series, and I really like the puzzles from that, but following along with the clues in this book is really fun. Like, I think she does such a great job of setting this mystery out that you as a reader are just itching to have solved. And you kind of get to but like you're learning things alongside the characters, and you can almost solve these clues with them. I was not expecting the ending. I actually had a different person in mind the whole time. So I'm glad that I was wrong because I kind of liked that character, but I was not expecting the reveal at the end. So that was crazy. And I really want to read I have the second book. I could just read it right now, but I don't know if I will. For a young adult series, it is kind of a little bit more gory than I was expecting. Like, it wasn't bad by any means, especially because you don't see it directly, but it was still quite a bit of like a lot of very detailed crime scenes and stuff like that. But I definitely feel like it got more thrilling at the end. Like, it definitely had me on edge a little bit, and I just really love this like found family group of friends or group of students in the program that we're getting. Like, each of them are so unique and interesting, and each of their abilities are interesting, and the love triangle we have between Cassie and the 2 boys, Dean and Michael, is so good. Like, it's not like there's an obvious winner there. Because I hate when there's like love triangles, but one outweighs the other. Like in Twilight, Edward is the obvious choice. You know that she's gonna pick him by the end of the series. But this one I'm like, I don't know. It could go either way, genuinely. Like, I kind of have an idea of who I hope it is, but I've heard from people who've read the series that there's a lot of times when you like switch back and forth based off their actions. So I'm really interested to see how that all gets resolved. Part of it felt very nostalgic for me just because I did watch Criminal Minds so much growing up, and I really felt that kind of vibe in this book. So yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's a 5 stars per se. It's probably like a 4.5 maybe if I had to guess, because I am pretty excited, but it just doesn't have that 5-star feel. But I'm really excited to go into the rest of the series now. I was putting it off for a while. That was a win. But now I have just under 7 hours left, and I think I can get one more book done. I just don't know which one to do. From the physical TBR that I had started with, I only have 2 left, which is If We Were Villains by ML Rio and Finlay Donovan is Killing It. I just don't know if I want to read either of these. So I'm like, maybe I should pick something from my Kindle, but then that just requires a lot of research into what I would want to read. Also, by the way, it is 6:43 now, so I should have only had 3 hours left, but now I have pretty much 4 more on top of that. So I don't know where the time went, and I know I'm gonna have to pause later because I need to help my sister with homework. I just don't know what book to pick next. I'm really struggling. Maybe I'll take a minute to pause and help my sister with her homework and eat dinner and journal a little bit, and then I will come back with the next book I'm reading. But that would mean I have to pause for another hour, just making this challenge last even longer. That's my almost 3/4 of the way done update. All right, so that took a lot longer than I was expecting. Well, now it's 8:30, almost 8:40. I was naive in thinking that I'd be done with this challenge in an hour. Instead, I have 6 hours and 47 minutes left. So we have some grinding to do, because at this rate, I'm not going to be done till like after 3 in the morning. Hopefully no more breaks. Actually, I'm not even going to say that. No more breaks, period. I just realized I forgot to pause the music, so if you hear that, no you don't. I'm gonna read If We Were Villains. I'm hopefully gonna understand all the Shakespeare references and think this is super cool and moody and fun, like everyone else does. And I think this should take up the rest of the time, if not more than that, but if it doesn't, then I'm just gonna read The Serpent and the Wings of Night for the rest of the time. I think that's my game plan. Mentally, I'm okay. I'm not too tired at the moment. I think the nap really helped, but it's getting to the point where I'm like getting pretty, I don't want to say short-tempered, but like I need to go to sleep soon. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully this book isn't like too pretentious with the Shakespeare stuff, or else I'm just gonna get super aggravated and not want to read it, but we'll see. I have faith, I have hope. It's time for an update because I have 3 hours and 18 minutes left. I did fall asleep at one point. I don't know how long I was asleep for, but I'm on to Act 2 of If We Were Villains. Page 83, so I did not get very far in the last 3 hours. In all fairness, I'm not totally loving this book. I don't know, well, I'm sure it's probably intending to be a little pretentious, like just because, well, maybe I should tell you what it's about first. The book opens with the main narrator, Oliver, being in jail, and a retired police officer is trying to persuade him to tell the truth about what happened 10 years ago, I think. We cut back to 10 years ago and we get introduced to these group of friends, 7 in all, who go to a arts school and they're in the theater program themselves. It's their last year. And things just start getting really tense in the friend group. And obviously something happens that leads Oliver in jail. We haven't gotten to that point yet. I don't want to say it's bad, but like I've read a little bit of Shakespeare and I still don't understand some of these quotes that they're talking about. Like sometimes I could be like, oh, that quote's like important to the characterization of so-and-so, or it's important to what's going on in their friend group. Like it kind of depicts the tension. But for the most part, it's just, it feels so pretentious and it's kind of annoying. I don't know if I want to keep reading it because it already made me, well, I don't think it necessarily made me fall asleep, but it's definitely not like, you would think I'd be super interested in what's going on because we know that the main character goes to jail because of something that happens. But like, I'm like, I don't care. I don't know. It's a little bit of a struggle. And I feel like maybe I'm just stupid and I'm not understanding it like everyone else might be. I don't know. I don't think there's a single one of these characters who is likable. And I don't know if they're supposed to be. I think there isn't honestly supposed to be. But they're all so obnoxious. I'm not even that far in. I don't want to DNF. I'd feel so bad. I guess that's my little update. I didn't pause the timer when I fell asleep. Like, I fell asleep as I was reading. So I lost, I don't know how many hours, how long. Because I feel like I've been reading this pretty slow to begin with. So I don't know how long I was asleep for. But I'm not going to go back and add it to the time at this point. I mentally can't handle that. So I think I'll probably just try to stick with it. Maybe well, Act 3 is right here. I just kind of flipped to it. So this, maybe give it this much more and hope that it improves for me. All right, I have just under an hour left. I'm so excited. I am in the middle of Act 3. I think I'm near the end, actually. But I'm like a little over halfway through the book. I know I said that I was going to give it till Act 2. And I did. And I was like, oh, it kind of picked up. And then after Act 2, so slow. All of Act 3 has been so brutally slow. And it's kind of frustrating because at this point, like, we know why well, for the most part. Actually, I guess we don't. But we have an idea of why Oliver's in jail. But they're going through the motions in such intense detail. It's just taking forever. Like, I just want to look up the ending because why is it taking this long? Like, it has no reason to be taking this long. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just frustrated. Also, Act 3 has made me realize how much I dislike the narrator, Oliver, the main character. He's actually probably one of my least favorite characters I've ever read about or read from. I don't know. That's where I'm at, but I do only have an hour left, so that's exciting. Just wanted to give you a little 23-hour update. Isn't that crazy? It's taken way too long to get here. I'm so glad to be done. I just made it to Act 4 and it's still moving so slow. I have like 100 pages left, so shouldn't be a hard book to finish later, tomorrow maybe. I don't know. What I do know is I'm gonna go get ready for bed. Well, I'm gonna clean up my mess and then I'm gonna get ready for bed. And I will come back tomorrow with a little wrap up of all the books I read. It's not the next day, it's a couple days later because I forgot that I still needed to do a wrap up and record a thumbnail, so that's great. But I will give you a little wrap up now that I remembered. I started with All the Dark Places by Terry Parlato, and this took me, I think, a little more than 6 hours to complete. Looking back on it, I think it's gonna be like a 2.5 to 3 stars. Probably I'll stick with the 3, but if I were being like super honest, it's closer to the 2.5. It's tough because this is marketed as a thriller and it really didn't feel very thriller-ish at all. But I really did like having the police officer's point of view because I feel like it just gave you such a good insight into like the active investigation, which I feel like you don't often get in these kinds of thrillers. So I thought that was fun, but again, it just wasn't really thrilling. The twists were not twisty at all. They were like pretty bad twists. I didn't guess who it was specifically, but I guessed the big twist regarding that person, so yeah. Then I read Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson, And I think this also took me roughly 6 hours. And I really, really liked this book. I've been thinking about this book for the past couple days. I honestly think this is probably a 5-star. It was just, the narration is so fun and unique, and I'm sure I've said that so many times, but it is, like, it's definitely something I haven't read before, and I don't know, I really liked it. Like, even the mystery behind it all, I had no idea who it was going to be the whole time, which is, like, pretty remarkable when the narration is addressing the reader and, like, pointing stuff out to the reader. So I really, really enjoyed it. I had such a great time reading this. I think this pushed me through, like, the early morning part of the challenge. I heard the second book in the series isn't as good, so I'm a little nervous to continue because I don't want to, like, tarnish my image of this book, but I'm so excited about that one. I'm glad I loved it that much. And then I read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this was also another really good read. I know it took me a second to get into it, but that's just because I was really tired. But at the end of the day, it was really fun. And I just think for me, it held so much nostalgia because of the Criminal Minds kind of atmosphere and vibe to it. It has a little bit of a creepier vibe and it really keeps you guessing. So it was really good. And I'm really, really excited to read the next book in the series. I actually have the rest of the series, so I'm super excited about that. And I think Jennifer Lynn Barnes just does such a great job of letting the reader be involved in the mystery or the puzzle of the books, like especially in the Inheritance games. I feel that too with the puzzles. She does such a great job of cluing in the reader and letting them make their own guesses and assumptions throughout the book, and I just love that. And then the biggest disappointment of this whole video, we have If We Were Villains by ML Rio. I fell asleep partway through reading this book. This was like the last 6 hours of the challenge, and I didn't even finish this book, and I don't think I am gonna finish this book. I think this is my first DNF of this whole year. I really tried to pick it up and read it. I was gonna get the audiobook and then decided it wasn't worth spending the money because it wasn't for, like, it wasn't included in Spotify Premium, and I was like, I'm not gonna spend the money to buy the audiobook when I already know that I don't like it. I just think all the characters were so one-dimensional. They were pretentious as all get out. They were so annoying. Like, I get that their whole world revolves around Shakespeare. Like, that's their whole education. But it just took me out of the book every time they were talking to each other with Shakespeare quotes. Like, they'd be speaking a normal sentence and then all of a sudden shift to Shakespeare. I just found it so off-putting. I didn't like it. And honestly, the mystery didn't keep me involved enough. I couldn't read this one, and I feel so bad. Like, I know so many people love this book. The issue, I think my biggest issue with it was it's so slow, guys. We were moving along at a snail's pace, truly. It just didn't work for me, and what can I say? Everyone has different book tastes, and I guess this wasn't mine. I don't know if this means I don't really like the Dark Academia vibe. Maybe I'll try reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt eventually. Not anytime soon, but eventually, and see if I like that one. Because if I do, or even Babel, maybe then I do like Dark Academia, but this one just wasn't working for me. And I don't know if it was just Shakespeare or how slow the plot was or the fact that I was annoyed by all the characters. Like, I think it was just a mix of all of them. And yeah, it's a DNF, officially taking the bookmark out. I feel so bad about it, but I just can't. That was my 24-hour reading challenge experience. Was it as spooky as I was expecting? No. The only books that got me a little bit jumpy were The Naturals and Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. And I think that's just because those were like early morning / right in the middle where I was like exhausted. I did get a 5-star out of this, which is crazy. I got a 5-star and a DNF, both ends of the spectrum. So I don't know, it was a fun experience. Would I do it again? I don't know. I don't know if I do the 24 hours straight. I might try to do it like 12 hours one day, 12 hours the next, something like that, because the 24 hours straight was difficult. And I've done all-nighters before, but the act of like reading can be so exhausting sometimes. So yeah, that's that. I'm glad I did it though, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!